Kill the brain, and you kill the ghoul. Kill the brain, and you kill the ghoul.
Welcome, Boils and Ghouls, to the Cold Dead Heart Horror Show. We're going to review upcoming horror news and then recap what we've been into this week, and finish with a roundtable discussion about Late Night with the Devil. We invite you to listen in and enjoy the horror. All right, Jasper, what news do you have for us?
There's quite a few movies that have popped up that I'm interested in. One of the ones is called Trap. I don't know if you've heard about this. It's a new M. Night Shyamalan movie. I watched the trailer the other day and it shocked me because in the trailer it's only 2 minutes long and there was already a twist. So to start off, classic M. Night Shyamalan. The story takes place at a pop concert where a loving father / serial killer, starred by Josh Hartnett, tries to evade the police while giving his daughter the night of her life. And who plays that pop star? Seleka Shyamalan, who actually has an album and several tours to her name. I think this concept's quite interesting because in the trailer, Josh Hartnett goes up to somebody who's selling merch and he says, "Why is the police? Why is there so many police presence? Why is there trucks? Why is there cameras?" And the guy's going like, "Well, don't rat me out." But it turns out the butcher's at the concert and they've trapped him in the building. And that's when he leaves, goes to the bathroom, checks his phone, and you see he taps into a camera of somebody chained in his basement. I think this concept is so interesting. I'm really, really excited about it. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, it does look good. Oh,
yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
I can't remember the last M. Night Shyamalan movie I watched. I know he can't.
That one in the woods, right? The end of the world? Like the world was ending and that family in the woods?
Oh, okay. Yes, I forgot that was him. Any time I think about a Shyamalan movie, I think about The Village.
Right,
because
me too.
That ending
The Village and Signs.
Yeah. Yes, Signs, of course. You can't forget about Signs.
But yeah, this is like a return to like more horror in like a different kind of genre, but I'm excited for it. It looks good.
Definitely. Next up, I have a movie that came out a few months ago in Korea called Exuma, and there's just been a release in the UK for it. It has a 95 rating, audience rating on Rotten Tomato and 86% by Rotten Tomato, which is really high for a horror. The
super high for Rotten Tomatoes and horror.
Oh, definitely. I mean, this film grossed millions in Korea, and it's still grossing. I think they're still showing the movie over there. So the synopsis is, when a renowned shaman and her protege are hired by a wealthy family, they begin investigating the cause of a disturbing supernatural illness that affects only the firstborn children of each generation. With the help of a knowledgeable mortician and the country's most revered geomancer, they soon trace the affliction's origin to a long-hidden family grave located on the sacred ground. I have been dying to see this movie for months, and
sounds amazing.
Yeah,
it's almost biblical, right? Like a virus that only affects the firstborn, right?
Absolutely.
Like, there's a lot of ways that could go. I like that. That sounds cool.
So I've not watched it because I only realised about an hour before we started the podcast that there was a release, so I will be discussing it at next week's roundtable and probably have I hope a lot of good things to say about it.
Can't wait to hear what you think.
Beautiful.
I'm excited.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
Next up we have a TV show. I don't know if any of you have watched Them the Scare. So
no, I haven't.
Them the Scare is an Amazon original, and I'd say it kind of borders on American Horror Story-esque.
Like an anthology?
Yeah, each season is different, and they've just come out with season 2. I watched the trailer. My God, it looks amazing. It looks disturbing. It looks gross, and I'm very excited for it. The season,
Gold.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's free on Amazon. Why not? You know.
Right.
So the synopsis for this one is: it's 1991. An LAPD homicide detective Dawn Reeve is assigned to a new case: the gruesome murder of a foster home mother that has left even the most hardened detective shaken. Navigating a tumultuous time in Los Angeles with a city on the razor's edge of chaos, Dawn is determined to stop the killer. I'm always apprehensive about trying new TV shows that are
Yeah.
like in the horror genre because they really can be a hit or a miss.
Oh, for sure. And I always find like there's such a slow burn to it. Like when I get the opportunity to jump into something horror, like movies are perfect because I might only have like an hour and a half, 2 hours, you know what I mean, before, the TV gets co-opted, right? So like to sit through a slow burn of a show is not always easy.
Yeah.
But
mean, and
like
sometimes it
often
can
pays
almost
off, right?
drag intentionally
Yeah.
because they want to fill the series, and that can get
Yeah.
so tedious. I'm looking
Very
at you,
much
Castle
so, yeah.
Rock, when I say this.
And like the
Not
opposite could
wrong.
totally be true. Like Hannibal is a perfect
Oh,
example
yes.
of like
Uh-huh.
a horror show done completely right, where like every hour episode is an epic, like almost like movie quality, right? Like its own story, within an overarching story, right? Like when we're talking about Hannibal. But it's super rare that I find something is that quality as far as like a horror show, right? Yeah.
It could definitely go off the deep end like American Horror Story. Oh, sorry
Right.
to any fans out there, but this new season of
yeah.
American Horror Story is just trash. I don't know. Have you seen the new season?
I haven't. I stopped watching
No.
after, what was it, the like freak show season.
Freak show,
Oh,
yeah,
really?
that's
Yeah. I have kept up with it, but I think I'm going to stop after this season because the last two have just been absolutely, what are you guys doing? So that's kind of what made me apprehensive with horror TV shows, is because they can go either American Horror Story way or, like Ken says, Hannibal way. It's one or the other. And that's all I really have for movies so far. What about you, Ken?
Well, I know we talked a lot about the Alien Romulus film, but we haven't really touched on the upcoming Alien show. So it's the franchise's first TV series set to launch sometime next year. But the producers over at FX recently said, expect a scary thrill ride set in the not far future here on Earth. Which I'm like, dealing with the
But on Earth, that's
emergence. Yeah, the emergence of the story's infamous Weyland-Yutani Corporation and their race between different corporations to create a new android life, like android artificial intelligence, I'm assuming, kind of like a Bishop or Ash, right? So here's my take on that is, and I felt this like with Prometheus and stuff, and far be it from me to kind of like judge creative genius, right? But so an alien story that starts on Earth is kind of disappointing to me, and I guess it does make sense taking in the Prometheus lore, but like Alien, the first Alien, took place so far in the future, and we had absolutely zero in the data bank of what the hell these things were, right? Nothing at all. So it always kind of seems like a cheap cop out to me when the Alien franchise now brings it back to Earth.
Right.
Like the technology was so advanced in the first Alien movie, and even in the second one, they're just going back to like what the hell happened here, and starts, you know what I mean? And even the people on Earth, the corporations, they want to bring whatever the organism is to see if but like no one knows anything about it. So when we talk about alien stories that are Earth based, and maybe it's just because Alien and Aliens were kind of my wheelhouse. Structure for the alien universe, that it bothers me when I, like Prometheus kind of bothered me that way because it took place before Alien and it was humans and Earth and, and they had technology, right? Like everything's recorded. So I don't know. That concept kind of bothers me a little bit. But 30 years before the original Alien movie is when the show takes place. What do you guys think, though? Gigi, I know you had said, it takes place on Earth, and I do like the idea. I do like the idea of talking about like the origin of like Whaling Yutani and the creation of the android like AIs and stuff. But then, like, is the first season, because it did specify that it's the first season, but, like, is there not going to be any aliens in the first season?
Right. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm holding back on any and all judgments just because, one, not every Alien product is great, and I'm a huge fan, but there have been some, Prometheus, not my favorite.
Not my favorite, yeah.
So it's kind of like, man, but I am such a huge fan of the Xenomorphs. Morphs?
Yep, Xenomorphs.
And I know, I said it like they were Smurfs, like Xenosmurfs. What the heck?
That's the plush version.
Yeah, that's a Squishmallow.
Right.
But I'm such a huge fan of the Xenomorphs that I'm kind of willing to watch anything.
Sure.
The audiobooks, funny enough, if you have not checked out the Alien audiobooks, they are worth a listen.
Okay. Yeah, I'll check those out.
Yeah,
I'm the same way. I'm big in the franchise, and exactly what you're describing. It's like my relationship with the Predator franchise, right? And even like a new one's coming out, and like I know it's gonna be bad. But I have to watch it because it's Predator, right? Thankfully, I really like Prey. I thought Prey was fantastic. I had a lot of hopes for the one that came out before then. It kind of sucked out loud, but
I don't think I've seen it.
You not seen Prey?
The Shane Black one.
Oh, yeah.
Can you remember the original Predator? Like the Arnold Schwarzenegger one.
Yeah.
So you know the guy in the squad with the glasses who was always cracking the jokes, trying to make Billy laugh. So that's Shane Black. He directed the one before Prey. And yeah, it was kind of trash. Like I kind of got where they were going, but it was like that same thing of, we got way too much human BS, boring nonsense, unnecessary, and not enough alien killing action, I guess. The stuff that we got was pretty impressive, but anyways, way off track. So what else? There's a new Russell Crowe exorcism movie that's not related to the Pope's Exorcist, coming out on June 7th. The film, titled Exorcism, follows a struggling actor. This is actually really cool. So the film follows a struggling actor who has a mental breakdown while shooting a supernatural horror film. How cool does that sound? Right? Like an actor with struggling with addiction and mental illness has like this, and it's obviously an exorcism film, right? So I've got a little theory. Have you guys heard anything about this new Russell Crowe exorcism movie? I think a lot of people are just, because I know Pope's Exorcism I liked it, but I know it didn't get the best reviews. They see Russell Crowe exorcism and just kind of skipped the news. Have you guys seen any of this? There's a trailer coming in tomorrow.
Did exactly that. I saw the article and just skipped it. I was like, nah, I don't know.
Interested.
But you know what, like exorcism movies, they're not my most favourite, so I don't know.
So here's my theory, yes, I have a theory knowing absolutely nothing about this movie. My theory is that wherever they are shooting this horror film, where he's an actor, right, playing a character in a movie, in this movie, my theory is that they're shooting it in a haunted location and he gets possessed, and he's already has mental issues, right, struggling with an addiction and different things. I think that the movie's going to play out that way, and there could be a twist at the end where it was just all in his head. Either way, I'm super intrigued. I find it super curious that Russell Crowe decided to do another exorcism movie outside of the franchise that he's trying to build with the Pope's Exorcist. But neither here nor there. I love Russell Crowe as an actor. I'm excited to check this out.
I still stand by the fact that. Sorry, I still think that the Pope's Exorcist should have been a TV show rather than a movie.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no,
I really do. Absolutely.
I think we all have that same opinion that would have been a much cooler story. Like given the Hannibal kind of treatment, you know, like just with a really good production staff. And stretching out that character's story. Now they are in talks to turn it into a trilogy, so apparently a script's been written for a part 2.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, I feel like that, like it didn't, like the movie itself, The Pope's Exorcist. I think like it did feel rushed, which made it feel like been there, done that kind of thing, right? Where if like the story should have been not so much about the Exorcist, but about him, right? About that character, his relationship with the church and stuff. And that's what you would have got out of a show. You would have got more of that interesting thing. The Exorcist stuff was very cool in that movie, but again, nothing we haven't seen before. But that character is a very interesting character that I would like to follow. Anyways, last up for me, we got a trailer for the new Night Shyamalan movie, The Watchers, this week. So the daughter of M. Night Shyamalan, making her directorial debut. The film follows 4 strangers trapped in a house in rural Ireland, watched by mysterious creatures at night. So that does sound pretty cool, right? Like
it does sound really cool.
Stuck
and
in a
Dakota
house
Fanning
in the middle of the woods.
Yes.
Yeah, she's the main character. I think it starts on her. They said like her car breaks down and she goes wandering through the woods, finds this house, and then gets trapped inside. And there's 3 people who are also trapped in there. And just so the images kind of show like the house has got like all glass, like big, huge picture windows all around it, and then these creatures like come and watch them at nighttime.
Yeah, I watched the trailer for this, and you know me, I'm a sucker for stories about creepy woods, so I'm very excited for this one. I'm definitely going to keep an eye on The Watcher. It looked really interesting. I wonder if she's going to follow in her father's footsteps with movie style wise. Yes, with the twist,
classic
the
twist.
turns.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, okay, so I've got a theory. Again, a theory about something I know nothing about. You want to hear it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, of course, Ken. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go, Ken. Let's get it.
So here's my theory. I feel like these people are not in a cabin in rural Ireland. I think they've been unknowingly abducted by aliens, and it's I'm sorry if this turns out to be true. I have a tendency to do this and people get mad at me, but this is a theory, knowing nothing, just seeing a trailer today. So I think these people have been abducted by aliens and they're put into a environment that feels like a familiar house in the woods, and the creatures watching them might like look like these like monstrous type things, but I think are like hyper intelligent aliens from another planet. This is my thought.
That could be a good twist.
Or like even interdimensional kind of beings or something.
I don't know, but now I want to see it even more just to know if you're right.
Just to know if it's true.
Yeah.
Right on. Yeah. It would be cool if I was. I've got about a 50-50 50-50 streak going here with my theories based on very little to no information. So, but that's pretty much what I got for news and movies. What about you, Gigi?
This week in movies, I saw the trailer for A Quiet Place Day 1. I don't know if you guys are a fan of the other Quiet Place movies, but I thought they were excellent, and I am super excited to see this installment, and especially with the main character is played by Lupita Nyong'o, and she is one of my favorite horror movies.
Yeah, no, she's fantastic, and it does look really, really good.
It does.
I'm excited for that.
You find it weird? that they were intentionally like a couple of months ago. I remember reading this. They were playing down the horror aspect.
Oh,
Like
were
they were
they?
saying, but all the trailers I've seen, I had read a couple of articles and I was talking to people about it, and they were like, "But the trailer looks like a bloody only
Yeah,
horror."
like very
They were playing
bloody,
it down
very
like this is
violent.
gonna, yeah,
This is how the human race was
but
wiped
like,
out.
right, exactly. But I find it really strange that like there was a bunch of press releases that were all like, "Oh, we're steering." That's the way they put it. We're steering away from horror in this one and focusing more on the psychological impact. But everything I've seen is like contrary to that. Like, and yeah, the recent trailer, it looks like bonkers horror, like almost
does.
ramped up. So it's going to be interesting. But I like the cast. And the franchise has been good, so like I'm definitely on board with checking this out.
I just know that since the very first one came out and we got little snippets about what happened at the start, that fans have been crying out for this movie.
Yeah.
This is
like an origin, right?
this is very much catered to the fans, so I think they'll do a good job. I'm excited to see it. The one set in Brazil, I can't remember what they called that one, but that's one of my favourites. That was fantastic. Where the dad's actually this psycho and he's trying to convert everybody, and you're like, oh my god. I thought that was a great one, great story.
For sure.
The other one that I'm really excited about seeing is actually Longlegs, which we've talked about before, and Ken posted in the server today their latest trailer, which looks fantastic.
Bonkers.
It does. And in it, they have this scrolling text, and it says, "Listen loud, the serpents. See the darkness slithering. Tell me what good is that body, if not for hiding red shiny parts."
Oh, God.
I know. I love that.
How cool is that?
Okay, I hope you don't mind.
Good.
I hope you don't mind, Ken, but I have my own theory. I have my own theory about this movie.
Let's hear it. I want to hear it.
Lay it on me.
Okay.
Lay it on me.
I think from what I've seen is that it's going to be a small town where these gruesome murders happen, and because of the severity of them, the FBI woman comes in, right, to investigate it. And I think there's going to be that serial killer aspect, but I see it as that the actions taken has awoken something in that town that's satanic.
Right.
And that's what the FBI woman is having to deal with. It's not only a serial killer, but this satanic being or cult or whatever. So,
right.
I don't know. That's kind of where I'm going.
That sounds cool. I like that. So
really cool.
I've got my own theory. I've got my own theory.
No way.
No way.
All right, competing theories.
But
let's
first,
go.
Hey, right? Well, it's kind of in the same vein, actually. But before I go, can I just say how much I appreciate Neon's marketing of this movie?
Yeah.
It has been fantastic.
Really?
Like, this is the way, and Jasper, I think you had said this earlier, this is the way that horror movies should be teased. Just drips and drops. I mean, like, not too much, keeping people on their toes, don't give too much away. Whoever these guys are, they are fantastic at what they're doing. So here's my theory. I think, we know that digital information sharing is relatively new as far as, like, law enforcement, the history of law enforcement. So I think that this movie is going to play through very much like a serial killer thriller movie. I think that's going to be the intent, the setup, and the way that they kind of go through the tropes. But I think they're going to slowly open up into what I think they originally started advertising as a supernatural horror, right? Kind of what Jasper was saying. But my theory is that this is a creature that has existed perhaps, for as long as Earth has supported life. Like a creature as old as time, and only awakens, every 100 years or whatever. And I think a big part of this movie will be piecing together, going back through digital information before information sharing was a thing, going through like different logs and articles and case files and piecing together this bigger story of like some folklore creature or demon or something. That's my theory.
Okay.
I think that's the way that it's gonna go.
I
Yeah.
like it. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll put a bet on this one.
Right?
Mark, this big
Yeah.
mark. This
I'd be happy if you were right too, because that sounds pretty cool.
And other than that, the other thing that I'm really excited about, and I've been debating about if I should put it in the news or in the recap section. But I'm just going to go with news because I haven't watched it yet. My copy of Slasher Size just came in the mail. I got it today.
Oh, nice.
I am so excited about this project.
Do you know about Slasher Size, Jasper?
No, I don't believe so.
So,
all right, lay it on us, Gigi.
Slasher Size is a horror-themed exercise video made by the lovely, incredibly talented Darcy the Mail Girl from Joe Bob's The Last Drive-In on Shudder.
Wow.
And it's all 80s themed, right?
It's all
like
80s
80s
themed.
exercise video. Yeah.
And like the antagonist has like a meathead t-shirt on.
Love it.
Yes, and it looks like a lot of fun. You can even on their website, which is slashersize.com, you can get a plastic knife so you to use in the exercise video.
That's perfect.
Yeah, it looks so cool, and
so
I can't wait to watch it. And exercise,
Right?
It'll be fun.
I love it so much.
And Joe Bob is in there as well. So
you'll have to let
of course,
us know
Joe Bob's got to make
get on with that.
I will.
Yeah, I'm very excited for you, Gigi. That it sounds so so quintessential, like Darcy, right? Like, yes, of course she would do something like that. I love it.
Yeah, one of their things is that the Frightful Fitness routine Slasher Size introduces a series of high-intensity workouts inspired by iconic horror themes, from cardio sessions set to the beats of menacing synthwave soundtrack created by macabre maestro Travis Bacon, to strength training routines that'll mirror the struggles of a long night final girl survival. Each workout is carefully crafted to keep participants in the edge of their exercise mats. Vanessa Decker, celebrated for her passion for all things horror, inducts the workouts with her unique personality and insights. From eerie warm-ups to pulse-pounding cardio, Decker's presence adds a layer of authenticity and excitement that horror fans will appreciate.
Nice.
Fantastic. I love this whole concept.
Yeah.
Right?
And
like just so out of the box.
Wait, before I forget, there are many celebrity horror cameos, and you'll appreciate this one because she did a shout out to the server too. Felissa Rose makes a cameo. Diana Prince, Joe Bob, which I already mentioned, Lisa Wilcox, Tiffany Shepis, Kelly Maroney, Spencer Carnes from Ice Nine Kills. So, okay.
Oh, man.
That's neat.
Even Kelly Maroney, eh?
Mm-hmm.
That is so cool. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, I'm very, very excited to watch it.
I can't wait to hear your thoughts.
Mm-hmm. And beyond that, I guess we could move on into books. What do you have for us, Ken?
Right. So, not a lot of new, but The Creature from the Black Lagoon rises from the depths in an all-new miniseries from Image Comics and Skybound Entertainment. Creature from the Black Lagoon lives by acclaimed creator Dan Waters, Ram V, and Matt Roberts in comic shops today. And I am super excited about it. I think I've talked about the last two shows. It's the only, and I know it's not like super news because I've talked about it the last 2 weeks in a row, but literally today, as of recording this, it's in shops. I've got 5 different covers already in my pull bin at my comic shop, so I'm super pumped for that. I've mentioned before, Dan Waters and Ram V. They're working on another project at Image. Ram V writing The One Hand, Dan Waters writing The Six Fingers. The story about one story about a detective hunting a serial killer. The other story is about the serial killer, and they kind of run in tandem, which has been killer. The Six Fingers issue 3 actually comes out today as well. But these guys have also written some of my favorite books. Ram V, my favorite from him was called The Many Deaths of Leela Starr, which is not so much horror. It does have horror elements. It revolves around the Hindu god of death, and it's kind of funny, kind of sad, not like super horror elements, but it does play into mythology. It's a really well done miniseries. And Dan Waters, my favorite from him was the series he wrote called Homesick Pilots. Now, if you could imagine mashing up, say, punk rock music, the Ghostbusters, and mech suit fighting into one story, like that's Homesick Pilots.
Wow.
It's an older series, but it's like these punk rock trash, kind of gutter trash kids that stumble into a haunted house, and it's like the house itself is the entity, and it bonds to a character, and then basically like the mech suit aspect is like ghosts controlling like elements around you, and there's a government team that's trying to like utilize that power and weaponize it, and then you end up, it's like this 3-arc story, I think 15 issues. Don't quote me on that. I'm pretty sure it's about 15 issues. And it ends up being like this group of punk kids versus the government in these ghost-powered suits, which sounds silly, but like there's a lot of horror elements to it, and it does, like, it's silly in terms of fun, but it's it's a cool series. Anyways, so just 2 really killer creators. So I'm pretty pumped for that, and anything Universal Monsters I'm going to be on board with. So Creature from the Black Lagoon Lives out today, and that's really all I have for books today.
Nice.
Nice.
What about
thank you
games,
for bringing
Jasper?
those.
Oh, I only have 2 things for games. We had the release of Dead Island 2. I don't know if there's any fans here of
Oh,
the
yeah.
Dead Island
yeah.
series.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Dead Island 2 had been out for a bit, though. Is that there like an update to it or something?
It's like remastered on Steam, I think I read. Is that right, Jasper?
Oh, hold on. Let me start this again.
Okay.
Dead Island 2. This is a new
You,
one, no?
if we're gonna pause, do you want me to go back to where I throw it to Jasper? Because I think you and me stepped over each other there, G.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, so all right,
That'd be
3,
good to
2,
do
1,
it.
and I'll throw it to Jasper.
No, this is a new Dead
Whenever
Island
you're
that's
ready,
come
Jasper,
out.
tell me, and then I'll throw it back to you.
Okay. Oh,
You
yeah.
good?
Yeah.
All right, that's all I got for books. What do you got for games, Jasper?
I just have 2 things for games, starting with Dead Island 2. This is the new one, which came out on the 22nd. I don't know if there's any fans here, if you've played any.
I played all the Dead Islands,
Yeah, we had a Dead Island 1, and then we had Riptide, which was one that took place 15 years after. But this is one that's set in Los Angeles, turning its inhabitants into zombies. Bitten, infected, but more than just immune. Uncover the truth behind the outbreak and discover who or what you are. Survive, evolve, and become the ultimate zombie slayer. I've been following this for quite a while now. I do love the Dead Island games. I think they're just a lot of, like, fun, you know, like...
Right, they're campy. They're silly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you know...
They are campy. It's almost like they play up the tropes of, like, of zombie movies, right? And the interactive part of that game, I think, was the big sell, like being able to craft weapons and stuff, which was kind of like groundbreaking for console games at the time. And that was kind of like the niche, you know what I mean? Like you can make a flamethrower tricycle with a helicopter blade. Maybe not exactly, but like these random concepts, like you could piece them together, and it was cool, man. I remember having like a stick with 2 chainsaws, you know, on either end. And like running through a horde, whipping that around, that was a whole lot of fun.
I think they've went a bit more campy, especially with being set in Los Angeles. We're definitely going to be seeing a lot of more interesting zombies in bikinis and rollerblades and whatnot, you know?
Yeah.
Yes. I had it on my Steam wish list. I had a look at it today. Unfortunately, the reviews are not good.
Oh no!
Know that it is bad.
That's a bummer.
This is really bad. A lot of people are saying that, you know, they've installed the game, started it up, and they've had to uninstall it to reinstall it just to get it to work.
Oh.
So they have immediately just refunded it. It's
so
not,
that's like.
That's not exactly.
That's tech problems, right?
But it's not a tech problem you want day one of release. It's not even being able to play the game. You know, you should be able to at least start it. I remember. Right. I don't know if you remember the horror game We Happy Few that came out years ago.
I do.
They got they got a lot of slack because of their tech issues. I thought, I'm going to ignore all the bugs. I'm going to ignore their reviews, and I bought it, and it wouldn't even run on my computer. And I had a really good computer at the time. So it's kind of same. Like, you want to be able to start the game, and there's games I'll play where if it has bugs, they can be fun. They can be silly bugs, and you'll laugh it off and continue on. But this is one that I don't think many people forgive. So it's a rocky start for them. I'm going to give it a few weeks, and I hope that maybe it changes.
They work it out.
Yeah, we'll see, because, you know, like you say, it's campy fun, and you just want to go on with your mates and kill some zombies, so, yeah.
Right.
Next on news...
I feel like that almost daily.
Next on news, because I know a lot of our server play Dead by Daylight, I like to keep up with the news for that. Mm-hmm. The new tome for Dead by Daylight out, tome 19, is called Splendor. This is the fanciest tome I've seen, where everything is in gold and fancy dresses, and they have a lot of interesting outfits out. They have outfits for the artists, Zarina, Michaela, Jake, Nia, the Trapper, and I'm looking forward to the Doctor outfit, which is the last one that you can get in the tome, because he's in gold, he's in this snazzy outfit with a big lit cigar in his mouth, and I'm like, I need this. I will grind this gear until I get this. And I don't even play Doctor. I have him, I don't play him, but I want an outfit, you know, so I think they've done really well. They also updated their store page, so the interface for the store page on Dead by Daylight, there was a lot of complaints about it, because you had to like click on one page and then click on another just to get to what you wanted to get. So they've simplified it now, and they're getting a lot of compliments for how pretty it looks. They're also bringing back past Rift and Tome outfits that people have missed out on. So say there was one from like Tome 15 for, let's say, Dwight. They'll bring it back. You can buy it for however much, and you'll get it. So I think it's quite good for people who have joined Dead by Daylight later on, and they can actually have the ability to get all these unique items as well. So yeah, that's it.
That sounds cool. Right
yeah, a lot going on in the Dead by Daylight world.
For sure.
That's it for games. Anything for you, Gigi? What do you have for us?
Oh, for games, I don't have a whole lot. I don't have any news. I'm sorry.
I thought you were going to talk about Fallout.
Right.
Well, I mean, Fallout's really old.
Okay, so
I mean, I could say the new thing is dropping on Friday, right? I think it's Friday.
The new what?
There's an expansion for Fallout 4 that's dropping.
Just whatever.
You want me to count you in, and you could just drop it and then throw to me for collectibles?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Are you still recording?
I am.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Gigi.
The only thing I really have for games is Fallout 4 is getting an expansion. The Enclave is going to appear in the Wasteland, which is very exciting, especially for us Fallout nerds. So I can't wait for that to happen.
For that.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I was watching the TV show. I started watching it. I'm on episode 3, so I'm definitely going to be reinstalling Fallout 4 again pretty soon.
Nice. Have you beaten it, then?
I've been close. I haven't beaten it. There's just so much to do, man. There's a lot of side quests. I got very distracted with building. Like, I really like building new places for people to live in and making sure it looked all pretty. So yeah, it took me a while to get to where I was in the game.
All right, so mild spoilers for anybody that has not beaten it yet. So just skip forward a couple minutes. But apparently I'm evil. So I'm doing another playthrough, but I beat it with the institution the first time.
Okay.
Which is kind of like the big bad in the game.
Yeah.
But here's my thing. That the leader of it is supposed to be my kid. So like, how do I not side with my kid?
No, never. Bad.
Right?
Bad.
Right? Like, I mean, I get it.
Total mom logic.
But like, I can't do it. And so I was just like, so I murdered the entire Brotherhood of Steel. I killed everyone in the railroad. Like, I just went, because I was just like, all right, I guess I'm doing it. So I'm gonna.
My goodness.
I know. I just.
Kind of like an evil empire version of a soccer mom, right?
Yeah.
Right, I guess. So I
support you.
So, I mean, and they've done some pretty evil stuff, like with the experiments, and they'll randomly murder people and replace them with synths. Like, it is definitely not the good guys, but also kid. Didn't have an alternative. So, but I am gonna go another route this time. I don't know what it is exactly. I'm still trying to figure that out. I might do a railroad and then reload a save and go and do the Brotherhood as well, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
So many options.
There's so many options. But anyways, on to collectibles. What do you have for us?
Pretty light week. So this one's like super not interesting to me, even though it's in the Universal Monster realm. But I do hope that there's someone out there that just loves this. There was a limited edition Creature from the Black Lagoon Monster High doll that released this week. Do you guys know what Monster High are?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't watch it, but I know it.
I remember years ago. Okay, I see. I didn't even know it was a show. I remember years ago, like when my nieces and stuff were like into Barbies and stuff, and like dreading walking down the Barbie aisle at the toy store, and then seeing the Barbie dolls, but they were like vampires and werewolves and stuff. And I was like, yes, that is what you're getting for Christmas. And it's the only reason I know what it is. But there's a big anniversary coming up for Creature from the Black Lagoon, so I thought, that's pretty cool that there's this limited edition Creature from the Black Lagoon Monster High doll coming out. But that was pretty much it. I was actually surprised to learn, in the same line, they have special edition Stephen King's The Shining, It, Beetlejuice, Gremlins, Elvira, and Annabelle, all in their lineup of like limited editions. So,
nice.
For any
I might actually have to get
doll collectors, right? But that's about it. And that's about it for collectibles this week, or collectible news.
Well, thank you.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
1, 2, 3, Gigi.
I think that's it for news, isn't it?
Yeah. So, all right. So that's it for news.
Bye. No joke.
See ya. No. So that's it for news. What about things that we've gotten into this past week? What have you been doing, Jasper?
Oh, well, I started my week with Late Night with the Devil, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
There was a lot I watched. There's a lot that I consumed that wasn't exactly horror, but horror adjacent, or just horrified me entirely. I started off with, I don't know if you guys have heard about the TV show Baby Reindeer.
Yes, I watched that too.
I just read an article about it today.
Yeah.
Did you watch it too, Gigi?
Yeah, I watched the whole thing.
Right on.
Holy
Did you know
moly.
that the guy, the main actor, the guy, that was actually him? That's actually his true story.
Yes, yeah.
I didn't realize that till I read an article afterwards. I thought, oh my god! So Baby Reindeer is.
I'm sorry, the actor in the show is the real guy?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because he's really a comedian and an author. And so this happened to him, and he really did have the breakdown, and he turned it into a one-man show that was really successful, and then they made the TV series. So it really is him, and all that stuff really happened.
I mean, for those that don't know, it's based on a true story. It's about this man who ends up being stalked by the serial stalker, and it's all about how he deals with it, and he's going through so many other issues that I don't really want to discuss now, and because spoilers and whatnot. But the show really, it not only tugs at your heartstrings, but it horrifies you that he explains in the show that he was just a simple man. He wasn't anybody special, yet he found himself in such a horrible predicament. It made you realize, stuff like that it really can just happen to anybody. So it scares you a little watching it.
That is actually creepy.
Yeah, it's had so much hype. He said in an interview that he thought that it would rise up and hype slowly, but didn't expect it to be as big as it has been. It's already starting to win awards in the UK and whatnot. So, I mean, it's a horrific story, and for him to have to relive it, I'm glad he's getting the recognition that it deserves.
And I'm also
it sounds like he's getting a bit of therapy from it too, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I also
there's something to be said about therapeutic.
But one of the things I really appreciated about the way they did Baby Reindeer is that it just felt like such an authentic story, and I think his reactions were so normal. And I loved that he didn't try and make himself seem perfect. Like, he messed up so many times in his responses. And it also just goes to show how
relatable it can
be. Yeah, the whole story was.
Yeah. No, for sure, because interactions interactions with people you don't really know or barely kind of know, you always want to kind of be friendly, and like a little bit of being flirty is kind of normal, right? It's social interaction. You most of the time you don't mean anything by it, right? And most of the time, even on the opposite end, you know how to take it. It's just fun interaction. It's not meant to be serious. And then there's the small group of people that don't get that, and all of a sudden it becomes an obsession for them, right? So I haven't seen the show, but I understand a bit about human interaction and how things could go awry, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's cool that they made it so relatable and not overly one-sided for the sake of being dramatic.
It was a great show. But you know what else was great? Festival of the Dead.
Yes, it was.
Oh, you watched it.
I did.
Yes.
Okay, I only have one gripe, my guys. Okay, skip ahead a minute if you don't want spoilers. At the end.
I'm up for spoilers.
At the end, when the guy's in the wheelchair and he's like, I'll distract him, you guys go, and then for a whole minute she's crying no, and then they finally go, I'm like, you could have used that minute and all you could have left. You could have all left. He didn't have
a common
die.
Thing. Yeah.
That really griped me because it was an unnecessary death. Just for the
Right.
extra drama effect. That was the only thing that
Sure.
kind of pissed me off.
I
But
remember thinking the same thing. Like,
I did
just
too.
show your appreciation in
Yeah.
a second and get the hell out of there, right?
Mhm.
So that sacrifice is worth it. But like, that is common, especially in like lower budget,
Mhm.
movies. I find, and it's almost like could have been or should have been fixed in editing. That's what paying like a good editor is for. It's like, yeah, guys, this doesn't make sense. Let's cut it out, right? Yeah, like I could forgive stuff like that when it comes to lower budget indie movies.
Yeah.
But I totally, it was one of those things that raised an eyebrow for me as well.
It was just the extra drama, and they needed something else, and I hope they release like a DVD copy with like an alternate ending where he's alive, and it's like, oh yay, But no, I really enjoyed the movie. I thought it was quite fun, a fun zombie flick. The gore in it was fantastic, like really bloody, and the kills were great. And yeah, I was a bit hesitant when you guys were talking about it before. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. That was kind of a highlight for me.
It sits right in that like survival of the dead kind of feel for some reason.
Yeah.
Like they were really kind of shooting for that almost like guerrilla indie Romero style, which I love, man. I love when horror creators like intentionally try and pay homage to the people that kind of inspired us, right? So yeah, that's cool. I'm glad you watched it.
Yeah, of course. No, I try not miss out on like any horror. I try and watch it all, But the next one I did watch. Oh my god, have you seen Immaculate yet?
I have not, but I really
no.
want to.
Oh, you watched it, eh? Yeah, it's high
I'm
on
not
my
going to
list.
spoil anything, but my god. Okay, damn. Okay, so for anybody that's not seen Immaculate, Cecilia, a woman of devout faith, is warmly welcomed to the picture-perfect Italian countryside, where she is offered a new role at an illustrious convent. But it becomes clear to Cecilia that her new home harbors dark and horrifying secrets, and it certainly does. Because my goodness, this film was fantastic.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but good things, and the story, the setup, the
everything
images
about
all
it was
look
great.
fantastic.
And I'm obviously not going to spoil the ending, but it just ended perfectly, And the cast was fantastic. There was more gore than I expected there to be. There was one particular scene, which I'm not going to spoil much for you, so I'm just going over like the basics. But there was one particular scene that I know when you guys watch it, you know exactly what I'm talking about, because it was horrifying, absolutely horrifying. The effects, the practical effects they used in this movie, just beautiful. So yeah, I'm definitely giving. Yeah, I highly recommend you guys watch it. It was haunting for sure. So yeah,
no, it's really high on my list. It just went up a few notches after hearing you talk about it.
Yeah,
so I might have to get that in the bag this week. Yeah,
you both of you do like you need to watch it.
Mission accepted.
Yes.
Yeah, totally.
TV shows apart from Baby Reindeer. There's a new TV show out called Under the Bridge. When I watched this, I immediately thought of Gigi. I kind of felt like this would have been her cup of tea. It's kind of like a thriller, but kind of horror aspects, I guess.
Can I ask really quick, do the Red Hot Chili Peppers do the theme music?
Oh, shush.
Under the Bridge?
Yes, that's the title song.
Right? Sold!
That's it, I'm done. So this one is the hidden world of the teenagers accused of a savage murder reveals startling truths about the unlikely killer. This one's a slow burn. It kind of gave me off the feels. I don't know if you watched a TV show years ago called The Killing at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of gives me the same vibes as that. Like just the way it's filmed and how they set things up, and it's there's 2 episodes out. I think the third one should be out by now. It's a slow burn, but it's great. It's great so far. So if you are looking for a new TV show to watch, Under the Bridge is the way to go.
Yeah, I'll remember that name.
Another TV
Cool.
show, which is an older one, was Candy. I don't know if you guys have heard about Candy. This is
Doesn't sound familiar.
Like hard
actually
candy?
no, just Candy.
Okay.
No, hard candy is good though.
Mhm.
This TV show came out in 2022, and it's actually based on a true story. So, Candy Montgomery is a 1980s housewife and mother who did everything right: a good husband, 2 kids, even the careful planning and execution of transgressions. But when the pressure of conformity builds up, her actions scream for a bit of freedom. No, I mean, I don't know if you'll watch this, and it's not so much spoilers if you know who Candy Montgomery is, but Candy Montgomery ends up killing one of her neighbours with an axe. And you find out through the show, A, if it was her, obviously we know because she is on the list of killers, and B, why she did it, you know. This... I've kind of been going on a Hulu binge, if I'm honest with you. I start because Under the Bridge, I believe, is Hulu, and I was like, I want to see what else they have to offer, and that's how I found Candy. Candy's excellent. I think it's 5 episodes long. If you're looking for a nice, again, it's a beautiful build up.
Quick binge watch.
Yeah, and the characters are really in depth. The way the story plays out is fantastic, and the main character is Jessica Biel, so what more do you want from a TV show?
Cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
I love her.
Yeah,
it sounds
fantastic. Good. Yeah, absolutely great. Now, a bit of reading. I told you last week that I read Night of the Freaks by Harrison Phillips, and that was about crazy clowns that were killing people in a town. I finally finished it, and oh my god, it was fantastic. The thing about the way Harrison Phillips writes is that you just don't know where things are going to go. And how I genuinely thought I knew. I was like, I know how this story is going to fucking end. It's going to be typical, like, with this type of genre. No. This is not typical at all. When you think you're right,
that's
you're
cool.
wrong. You turn the page and you're wrong. This is part of the splatterpunk genre I've been really getting into. I also have started reading The Playground by Adam Bodegaard. Have you guys heard about him before?
No.
He is surging in popularity since he released a book called The Slob. I read The Slob, and oh my god, it's probably the most horrific piece of work that's out there. Like, if you want...
That does actually sound super familiar. Yeah. It might have been you telling me. Were you talking about it on the server a while back, Slob?
I think so. It's about this pregnant woman who goes house to house. She's trying to gain more money for her firstborn. So she's going house to house selling like these cleaning products. And she gets to one house on a farm. She's like, okay, this is the last one in the day. I'm going to try and get money, and I'm going to go to this farm. And she knocks on the door, and there's this giant man. He's disgusting. He's got warts all over his face. He's dirty. His clothes are horrible, and she can see his house is disgusting. So she has this, like, I think it's like a steam cleaner or Hoover. She's like, I have these products. Can I show you how they work on your carpet? And he lets her in. And unfortunately, when he lets her in, that's the last time she'll get out. And we end up going through the torture of this pregnant woman in this slob.
Oh, good lord.
And the things that happen in this story, I'm not going to discuss in the podcast because it might get an R rating or whatever. But he's definitely becoming popular because of how far he takes it in his books. So I decided, all over TikTok, my TikTok's a little bit horror. So everybody kept mentioning The Playground, and I started reading this. And this one's about this woman who has built this big playground, and she invites 3 families and their kids to, quote-unquote, test out the playground because they want to give an underprivileged place in the country the opportunity to have this playground in their town. And she's like, I'm paying you $3,000 each to test it out. And the parents are like, yeah, this is great. But what it basically turns into the Hunger Games, but meets the Saw. like Saw movies.
Oh, wow.
You know, but with kids, and you're like, holy
Right.
crap, this is insane. So I'm about 9 chapters in, maybe a bit more, and I'll definitely let you know what I thought in the next roundtable about this book.
Wow.
And
That
that's
sounds
it.
cool. You
Yeah.
crushed it this week. Holy hell, man.
Well, I don't know if anybody can hear, but I'm a little bit under the weather, so I've been in my bed this
Right.
week just kind of, what can I watch next?
Making the
What can I
most of
read?
it.
Absolutely.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
For you. Right on.
And I hope you feel better soon.
Well,
Thank you.
yes, 100%. My list is nowhere near as expansive, but it did also start with Late Night with the Devil, woohoo, which we'll talk about after. I also rewatched Demons 2, or Demone 2, if you're nasty.
Nice.
The 80s Italian horror flick follow-up to Demons. And I realized while watching this, do you guys know the movie?
Yes.
Yeah,
Demons?
it's a classic.
Demons 2?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 100% classic. So I realized, like, roughly around the beginning that this is like an 80s Italian Evil Dead Rise. You know what I mean? Like this, like demonic, almost zombie-esque outbreak in a locked down, apartment complex. I was like, man, this is like Evil Dead Rise was almost just like a better reimagining of this in a sort, but like in the Evil Dead franchise. It's a fun movie if, like, especially for any like younger horror fans that are like just getting into it. Like these classic movies are the movies that like inspired the people that make all the horror stuff that you love. Like, make no doubt about it. Like, they might seem cheesy, they might seem like a little bit lame and dated, but like these are the movies that were like the core guys, like the guys on the forefront that were like making the slasher horror genre, right? And they're definitely worth a look. And you could laugh at a lot of these, like the reviews on this movie are not good, but any like hardcore old school horror fan, it's top shelf classic. So that was a lot of fun. It's been years since I've watched it. I didn't get into any reading, but I have the new Barbie Wild book sitting on my nightstand, which I hope to get into really soon because I'm very excited to read it. For collectibles, my Creature from the Black Lagoon, that's 3 times in this podcast I've brought that up. Creature from the Black Lagoon. But my NECA Black and White edition just arrived, so I'm very pumped for that. Get that open and on the shelf soon. But yeah, that's it for me for my horror stuff this week. What about you, Gigi?
Well, like Jasper, I watched Baby Reindeer, which was incredibly good. And then I also saw Late Night with the Devil, which I can't wait for us to talk about.
Yeah.
And then I played a lot of Fallout 4. So.
Nice.
Of course.
All right.
Right on. So does that lead us into our big Late Night with the Devil conversation?
Does. Let's jump into it. Late Night with the Devil.
Let's call this part 2 because this is going to be big.
Yeah.
All right, Jasper, you want to go first? Oh, sorry.
Gosh. Okay. I honestly...
No, sorry, I cut you off, G. You were going to jump into it, which makes more sense.
Yes.
So, yeah, just erase that, and then I'll 1, 2, 3 you in, and then Jasper, you go after, and then I'll go last, and then we can round table it. I'm sorry about that. All right, ready?
Okay.
1, 2, 3, Gigi.
I loved it, from the way they integrated practical effects to the use of CGI and the way they staged the whole movie to be incredibly self-aware. I really enjoyed it. What did you think, Jasper?
I was worried about it because before watching it, you know what it's like when a new horror movie comes out, and if it's overhyped, it ends up just not being as good because you're overhyped and you create this high expectation, and then it falls under that. But this went above what I ever expected it to be. I loved how in the first half of the movie it made you feel relaxed and comfortable, and you're laughing away at the jokes that they're telling on the show, and it's like you're watching a show from the 70s. It's like you've picked one, like an old recording of one, and you've put it on, and then halfway through it turns into this horror movie. It's like your brother's recorded over your dad's recording of the TV show. Half it's the show, and then half it's a horror. So I like how it's split down the middle there, and then it just snowballed after that. I really enjoyed how they played with your emotions that way, and yeah, it was great. I loved it so much.
For sure.
What about you, Ken?
Well, I agree with both of you guys. Okay, so it was about a year for me following production news, teasers, trailers, and reviews, and finally watched it on Friday night. And then again on Sunday night. And shout out to Shudder, right? For like scooping this up so fast and getting it out to us. So I love that. I freaking loved it, man. The story, the style, fantastic. Serious with like the slight hint of like camp to it. The 70s, 80s, like practical effects and like that dose of late night TV nostalgia. I thought the acting was amazing, especially like the main cast. There were points where I was like a little like, this is falling off in quality a bit. But then I realized like that's all intentional. They're making a play on like sketch comedy, like the origin of sketch comedy, which ties in to the whole overall theme of like experimental late night TV, which I thought was super smart. I know I've heard a lot of people complaining about the end, right? Like even still, I'm seeing people post and stuff that about the end. But honestly, like I thought it was genius. Like what the fuck? Like what the fuck happens? You know what happened? What happens after? Right? And that's all super fun stuff to chat about, right? Like it's a conversation piece. So the reviews and all the hype do make me nervous. Right. And like just like you were touching on, Jasper, like the reviews were all overwhelmingly good. Right. They're all positive. But I feel like it's getting such a high praise from so many different outlets that it's almost going to give like this too high expectation for like what is honestly a low budget indie film. So I just hope that the random horror fans who are not usually into horror or don't really understand like indie horror that hear all this hype and they go to watch it, I'm like, I kind of hope that they understand that this is what it's supposed to be. Do you know what I mean? Like just keep in mind that it is a small production and it's meant to be interpreted. It's not a big budget, you know, movie that conforms to the norm of film, right? So that's my only concern is that people will go, like people who aren't into what we're into will go into it expecting, you know, too much and then be like, oh, what's everyone talking about? That movie sucked, right? No, it's just not made for you, right? It's made for us. And we love it.
Yeah. One of my biggest complaints is like, but it didn't scare me. And I feel like people miss something when they're focused on getting a specific emotion.
Yeah,
it is
a jump scare.
Yeah. Because I don't think Late Night with the Devil was like meant to scare.
Scare you? No.
It was
like
meant to tell
it's
a horror
bonus
story.
if it did scare you. Exactly.
I think we're almost
and I feel like it was more psychological. Yeah.
No, I think we're almost expecting it because with the drivel that's come out in the last 10 years at least, you know when somebody reaches for a cupboard or whatever, there's going to be a fake jump scare and then a jump scare.
Yeah.
You know all this, so maybe we were expecting to see that and it done something so different. We're like, oh, wait a minute. You know, I think...
Honestly, that was my excitement, was that it wasn't going to be that. Like, everything that I had seen and read, I'm like, this is going to be different, and I am so ready for different.
I think indie companies are realizing that what Hollywood is producing isn't what horror fans want anymore. Or
no, 100%. Yeah.
So,
it's all a symptom of the same problem. Studios will only invest money in something that's got this tried and true formula that has projected in the past. Well, this movie did well. What were the elements of it? This movie did poorly. What were the elements of it? Okay, don't do that here. Do that here. And I think we talked about it either last week or the week before. But it's money is honestly what ruins film, because the more money you have means the more people you have investing, and then the more say you have, and the more decisions get made. And it's not pure art. Low budget like this is how we get these amazing stories by dedicated people who are just passionate about horror, right? And I'll happily spend the rest of my life supporting and watching just low budget indie horror, because that's art, right? That's the art that I crave. And it's not that big budget crap that we're so sick of, that gets all the money and all the attention, right? It's not that, and I could do without that. This is
why I've moved on from Hollywood horror to foreign horror, because okay,
I get it, man.
They do like a different formula and everything, and it's, I don't know how their like teams work or how the companies work over there, but they're doing something different to Hollywood. And so
well, they're just not Hollywood, so they don't have they don't have those like preconceived like roadblocks, I guess, right? They're more willing to be experimental and try something a little out of the box. Before we get too far away from Late Night with the Devil, do you guys have scores? Because I put a score on this.
Oh, I feel like we need to create a score for the show. How many boils out of boils did you put?
Oh, I love that. How many burst boils? Okay, so we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that for the next time we do one of these. But out of 10, where are you guys thinking realistically? Because I know I'm a tough scorer. Like anything above a 5 is a decent movie. Like for me, my score rating is super hard.
I was like everybody else. I didn't like the ending so much. For me, it was just the dreamlike sequence. I wasn't too keen on that.
Yeah. So I want to talk to you about that, because it's one of the things I absolutely loved was the ending. And don't get me wrong, you're in the majority. Most people I hear talk about it didn't care for the ending. G, do you have an opinion?
Oh,
on the ending?
Yeah, I loved the ending. So I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10 overall for the movie.
No.
But I think one of the reasons that I liked the ending is because the demons that he was interacting with, they like alluded to this one on the stage, like really loving an audience and loving a show. And then like in the woods, he has that like Stolas type in it, like demon, because of the owl.
Right.
And
right.
And the woods and astrology and stuff like that. And it's also like hidden knowledge or something that he's supposed to be presiding over.
Yeah, it's kind of like a deep cut. If you know, you know. If you don't know.
So
I mean,
and so for him to be sent, it was almost like he was entering the projection of himself, and it's like tormenting him by manipulating his memories to serve his narrative. So it's like a way for the demons to break down his will and his sanity.
Blowing my mind right now.
In a way that's close to him. But that is just my interpretation. So.
Okay, so this, I love that, and you've made me appreciate it a lot more, and you've blown my mind. But can I tell you why I love the ending? Because of what we're doing right now. Because we're talking about it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, that ending to me was like the perfect, what the hell, is this now just, is he crazy? Is it in his head? Or is all this happening? Is he trapped in this demon loop? Like, there's conversations to be had. And I could feel the smirk on the director's face when he was like, nope, this is how we're leaving it, right?
Yeah.
Because we could sit here and debate the end of that movie for the next hour, and no one's going to be right. No one's going to be wrong. And, and there's all these elements to pull from. And you just dumped a whole lot more on me than I was already sitting with, to think about. And it's exactly why I thought the end was genius. As soon as it wrapped up, I sat there for a second with squinted eyes, and I was like, genius, right? Because I have so many things to say, and they all go in different directions, and I know every person I talk to is going to have a different interpretation, and that is genius, right? Because people get to talk about it.
I really
the talking point was the reason why I loved it so much, because it's kind of open, right? I'm sorry, Jasper, I just cut you off. What were you saying?
No, I was just going to say that I really liked the incorporation of what's the place called? Something Grove.
Oh yeah, the Grove.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Bohemian Grove, because right now, like online on TikTok and everything, because I'm all over social media, I'm like on it all the time. But it's really popular, especially amongst like Gen Z, because they're like, what's going on in there with all those rich people? So the fact that they made a story around that, about this guy who wanted to be on top, but had to make a sacrifice to do so. So I thought it was kind of genius on the director's part to have that in the story, because
and not like overly touch on it either, right?
Yeah, it's a hot topic that the younger generation can say, "Oh, I know about this. Therefore, it's going to make me interested in this movie." So I thought that was quite smart on their end.
Really
Do you
cool.
score that?
Yeah, I'm not really on social media, so. Oh yeah, what was your score?
7-8. I'm kind of in between, because
that's fair.
I score on.
You can go 7.5.
Yeah, 7. Well, I score an 8 on how much I enjoyed it, but 7 on rewatchability for me, which is not a bad thing, because I think it'll be so memorable. It'll be a good 5 years before I rewatch it, and because I like to rewatch horrors years later, because I know I've kind of forgotten some elements about them, and then I can re-enjoy them again. But yeah, I mean, I don't like to be the one to like always score a 9, 10. So I'm good safe.
It's so rare that anything gets a 9 from me. I don't think I've ever gotten higher than a 9 on anything. And this one came damn close. I ended up at an 8.75. Which is kind of like a cheat, but like that's like it sits in like probably the highest of ratings coming from me, and not like I'm overly picky. Listen, movies are hard to make, right? And I always give lower budget movies a bit of a bump because they're working with less. And I think that's fair. They're my ratings. I could do what I want with them. But like in my mind, anything over a 5 is good, right? So, like an 8.75 is like super high end for me. I love the movie. The rewatchability I totally get, because I'm like that too. Ratings will go down based on, because I like movies that I could watch over and over again. But I will say this. I watched it twice in the same weekend, and I really enjoyed it both times. It'll probably be like a window before I watch it again, but I could totally see just randomly watching it within the month. Only because, and especially now, because Gigi, you did kind of blow my mind a little bit. I want to go back and re-examine some of those things. But yeah, I really, really, and plus the algorithm, it's on Shudder, right? So, it gives it another bump there, but I really do want to go back and re-examine a couple of things. I enjoyed it so much more than most movies I've watched recently. And it's just, and there's not a ton to it. And again, anyone listening who's never, who hasn't seen this movie, don't go on hype. It's a small budget, small production. It's just really well done, and it's interestingly done. It's experimental, but those are all the reasons why it's so high on my list, is because I love everything about the way that they did it. Even some of the campy kind of cheesier aspects of it, I'm appreciating them more as they sit with me, right?
I know.
Anyways,
well, one more thing. I know, reading a lot of reviews about it, that people who were from that generation of watching late night shows in the 70s did say that they'd done a really good job with the cast and set, because when they watched the movie, it was like they were watching a TV show from the 70s. So give
Yeah,
like the
and getting like some behind the scenes clips or whatever.
yeah. I mean, like, take
Mhm.
my hats off to the set design and all that. They did a wonderful job. If people can say
I love it.
that about the movie,
Yeah.
you know.
It sold me right from like the promo shots because
Mhm.
like so I'm an 80s kid, but like 70s late night shows were in syndication when I was a kid. So I remember
Mm.
like staying up and like waiting for like the monster movies to come on, and you would sit through like late night TV and stuff. Yeah, so there was like this weird nostalgic factor to it for me. But it was even the colors, like the oranges and stuff like that. I don't know. It all just sat really well with me. Like it was really well done.
That patter down. And I
But,
think that was the most impressive
what?
thing. That patter down, that like late night TV host of that era way that they spoke.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's
Right.
actually very
Yes.
nuanced, right? Because he doesn't normally, he's been in other stuff. He doesn't talk like that. Like that was for the movie.
Oh no.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, I feel like this is the best I've seen him. Right.
Mhm. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Like hands down.
Yeah.
And I just really appreciated
Tip of the
the way that they played that. It worked
No,
so
I agree.
well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He nailed it. Even in like the somber moments where
Mm-hmm.
he's almost like coming out of his own character,
Mm-hmm.
it was so well done. I think those were the parts that super sold me on him in this. Like he was good throughout the whole thing, but there was those moments where it's like if the character he was playing is a real person, but he's kind of playing a character on the air. And then when he breaks that character going into the sub character of who the character is supposed to be, if you could follow that thread, I'm like, that's like the genius in acting right there. Like that's when it was solid gold for me. Yeah. But high scores all around from us, so
Yeah.
I love that. And I knew we all liked it, but I'm happy to see that the scores
I mean,
line up here.
there's a lot of people on the server have been just, it was great, it's great, so
Mhm.
it's good to see that, it's an overall applause for the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. Well, does that about wrap us up, guys?
I think so.
I think so. Thank you, fellow listeners, for coming along with us this podcast while we discussed upcoming movie projects and various other things and our roundtable discussion of Late Night with the Devil. We thank you from the bottom of our cold, dead hearts. And don't forget to stay spooky.
Bye.
Bye.